Do-rag wisdom, folks, and welcome to Y2K 17.12.06 D-Day. The heroes of D-Day remembered, but that's not what this is about today. I have notes about the fact that I want absolutely nothing from the Nazi Trump regarding Israel. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. I mean, I support all Zionism in all the parts of the land of Israel. Every part of the land of Israel, I support Zionism. At the same time, and again, I'm just letting people know where I'm coming from here, because I just really do not like talking tribal matters. As much as I support Zionism in Israel, I caucus with the leftists and liberal anti-Israel and anti-Semites. Call them exactly what they are. They're left-wing, leftist, liberal, anti-Semites. I do caucus with them. I swallow whatever crap I hear coming from them that's anti-Israel and so ignorant about Israel. I support what is best for the USA. I live here in the United States of America, and as much as these people who hate Israel irk me, every time they open their mouths about Israel, I want to spit in their eyes. But we are united in our rejection of this Nazi president. We all despise this creep. So more about that Nazi stuff later. If he supports Israel, why would he, if he's an anti-Semite, why would he support Israel? More of that later. And there will never, I'm telling you right now, folks, and I've read into this matter, I've studied on it. You know, I took, in undergraduate school, I specialized and studied, among other things, Jewish history, Jewish culture. They actually offered that in colleges, because you see, the fact that, you know, some anti-Semite on Twitter thought that Jews, just a religion. It's not only religion, it's a nation. I mean, ironically enough, as atheistic as I am, the Bible has made the Jews a nation. And that's one of the reasons I could still say I'm a member of the Jewish tribe and that I'm an atheist. I don't practice the Jewish religion. So, see how it works? So just like any other country has a right to their identity or their origins, the Jews do too. More about the Palestinian situation later. But there will never ever be any peace in the Middle East as long as we have naked ape-itis. We have this disease, it's called naked ape-itis, and part of naked ape-itis is our tribalism and our fanatic adherence or our beliefs in our religious whatever it is. Because after all, we're very arrogant about that. I mean, here we are, these little cockroaches in the middle of nothingness on a rock, and they spun the wheel here, you know, and here we are, the Goldilocks in the solar system. We're alive here, but whatever we are, we're alone, folks. And whatever delusions we want to create about who we are, what we are, religious, everything else, we're absolutely alone, and we're headed for death, and we're headed for a grave, and that's it. There's nothing beyond that. So, as long as we have this religious stuff, the Muslims of the Middle East despise the Jews. The Christians, they have another agenda, which we're going to talk about momentarily. So as long as there's going to be religious hatred, religious hatred, there's never going to be peace. Because they hate the Jews. They hate the Jews. And by the way, we don't much like them either. But then we don't want to kill everybody. We don't want to stomp them all out. There are, after all, 22 Arab Muslim countries in the Middle East. And the Jew haters want a 23rd. 22! And they want a 23rd, and there's one Jewish tribe land in that whole area. And when Jordan was created, that was supposed to be Palestine, not Jordan. That was supposed to be the so-called Palestinian country. All these parts of Israel that the Arabs want, all of that part, all of the West Bank, that is all part of the biblical land of Israel. The tribal lands of Israel. Now, Egypt controlled the Gaza Strip between 1948 and 1967, and Jordan did the same to the West Bank, the so-called West Bank. These two countries controlled these areas from 1946 to 1967, and they never unilaterally decided to create a so-called Palestinian nation. Okay? Never. And by the way, the Roman Empire, they renamed Israel Palestine after the Philistines, one of the big enemies of the Jewish people, because they despised the Jews for never accepting their rule. When the Arabs say they want a country in the Middle East called Palestine, they mean Israel in its entirety, not just the West Bank. And anyone who uses that term Palestine instead of Israel, as far as I'm concerned, is an anti-Semite. That being said, I want absolutely nothing from the Nazi Trump regarding Israel. Trump is using extremist religious Christians and Jews to consolidate his nefarious power. His VP, Pence, introduced himself as a Christian rather than as an American. Okay? I don't want religious extremists of any sect, of any religion, running our secular country. Let them run their synagogues, let them run their churches, let them run their mosques, but keep their goddess damn shit out of our lives, unless we want it. Trump's Middle East contingent is made up of religious extremists. And by the way, if I was running for president, or if I was introduced as VP and introduced myself as a Jew instead of as an American, imagine what the outrage would have been. Now, the USA is a secular country and must maintain that beyond the bitter end. Religious extremists, Christian religious extremists, Jewish religious extremists, Islamic religious extremists, they all believe in an apocalypse, an end time, a time when the Almighty reveals His, because after all, it's a he, not a she, because these Western religions are all patriarchal. Imagine if someone named Joni Christ or Judith Christ was crucified instead of someone named Jesus. They all have women priests. That'd be better off, right? We are a secular country, and we must maintain that to the bitter end, as I said. But extremist religious people believe in an apocalypse. And of course, we now have a Christian religious extremist base threatening us right now, and they desire and pine for all the days of their lives an end of days and of their miserable, pathetic lives. Okay? Remember, most of these religious extremists believe that we're going to some afterlife. Remember that. We're going to an afterlife. All right? This is in their scriptures, how they believe it. Now, in the book of Revelations, this is the Christian scriptures, describes in their eschatology, end-time beliefs, which includes the annihilation of Jewish unbelievers once all Jews are gathered in the land of Israel. This is the reason why these creeps, like Pence, support Zionism extremely. Extreme. They support it. Now these dumb, traitorous, Trump-sucking Jews like Bibi Netanyahu believe that they can use these groups to satisfy their own ends. And Trump is trying to do that as well. He's trying to use them to satisfy whatever power he wants to do. And you don't mess with extremist religion in this tribal, naked ape-itis society we live in, this culture we live in. It finally boils down to these religious creeps placing all of us in danger when it is up to Israel alone to deal with these creepy neighbors they have, these anti-Jewish neighbors. And since we Jews have a God on our side, how can we lose, right? Because everybody's got this God on their stupid side. Delusional. Because as far as I'm concerned, we human beings are bound and determined to wipe ourselves out, because that's the final stages of naked ape-itis. Trump is simply using Christian extremists just to use them. He's using them, and this in the end is very bad for this country. Keep the embassy where it is. Don't mess around with that. And don't let Trump and any extremist religious creeps decide what's going to happen with the future of my tribe's tribal lands. This Jew, me, wants absolutely nothing from this Nazi traitor, racist, birther bastard who is hoping to make a war someplace, any place, just so he can stay in power, even if it means presiding over an ash heap pile of crap.